10,000 years had passed without a single sound in the silent sector of the galaxy. No ships traveled there, no signals were sent. The area was cold, empty, and forgotten, just how the galactic gods wanted it. The Galactic Council was made of 12 ancient alien species, each one older than stars, each one powerful enough to destroy a world with a thought. Together, they ruled the galaxy with peace, order, and silence. They had agreed long ago, never again would war touch the stars. Never again would they return. In the great hall of the council, young Arcalor, the newest and most curious of the gods, stood still as the old one spoke. His eyes, shaped like glowing crystals, looked down at the long table where the 12 sat. Suddenly the chamber, lights flickered. A quiet tone echoed through the hall. "Unexpected signal detected," said a machine voice. All 12 gods froze. "There should be no signals from the silent sector," whispered one of them. Arcalor moved first. He walked to the center of the room where the holodisplay floated in the air. Static filled the screen, and then a shape appeared. It was a ship, small, metal, strange, but not strange to Arcalor. Somewhere deep inside him, a cold memory rose. The gods stared at the screen. It showed the vessel drifting at the very edge of the silent sector, just near the ruins of a destroyed star system. The signal began to play. It was just one word, one sound, spoken in an ancient language none of the younger species knew. But the gods knew it well. Human. The word rang through the room like a hammer hitting glass. Even the air seemed to shake. "No," said a god named Vortal, his many eyes narrowing. That word was erased. That species was destroyed. Arcalor looked at the signal again. The voice was calm, male, and confident. It did not beg or warn. It simply announced its presence. Human. The ship design matched no known modern species. But its shape, its energy readings, and its strange black and silver armor, these were old, very old. "This cannot be," said another god. "They were wiped from time. Not even dust remains." Arcalor's mind raced. He had read the forbidden texts, the secret histories. Long ago, the humans were the only species that had fought against the gods and nearly won. Their weapons bent reality. Their minds moved faster than light. They had burned worlds, but also saved them. Then one day, they vanished. The gods had made sure of it. But now the signal returned, and so did the fear. The council voted quickly. Send a scout team. Observe. Do not engage. But Arcalor had other plans. Later that night, while the others slept in deep stasis, Arcalor went alone to the observatory. He pulled up the data again. The ship was silent. No crew. No life signs. But there was one strange detail. Inside the ship, sensors picked up faint energy patterns. Very faint. Like a heart. Beating. He stared at the reading. One heartbeat, then another, then gone. No body. No heat. No voice. Just the echo of something alive. He zoomed in on the ship's surface. Symbols were written in old Earth language. Simple letters burned into metal. SS Hopebringer. A name. Ships hadn't had names in thousands of years. He reached out and touched the screen. It felt warm under his fingers. He didn't notice the soft hum behind him. The static on the speaker shifted. A voice whispered, barely audible, "You remember us." Arcalor turned around. No one was there. He looked back at the screen. The ship had moved, just a little. It was now facing directly toward the observatory's camera. His breath slowed. The camera zoomed in without him touching it. In the black window of the ship, something moved, a shadow. A face. Human. Only for a second. Then gone. Arcalor stepped back, his heart racing. He remembered stories told in secret, The humans had not just used weapons. They became them. They could exist across space and thought. Their science was like magic. They did not die. They hid. He walked back into the main hall. He wanted to tell the others, but they would not believe. Or worse, they would destroy the vessel before its truth was known. He knew what he had to do. He would go to the vessel himself. If humanity had returned, someone had to greet them. Someone had to know if the silence was truly broken. As he left the chamber, the ship's signal played once more, louder this time, clearer. Human. Then it added something new. We are not your past. We are your end, or your beginning. The gods had ruled in peace for 10,000 years, but now something ancient was waking, something powerful, something human. And peace was ending. Dark shadow moved silently through the stars. The human vessel, SS Hopebringer, was now inside the edge of the silent sector. No one had seen a ship like this in thousands of years. Its surface was cold, but something inside it was not. The gods had sent a special recovery team. They were the best from each ancient race, trained for war and strange events, but even they looked nervous when they saw the ship. "It is empty," said Commander Keltar. "No heat, no life, no crew." They circled the strange vessel, scanning it from every angle. Its shape was old. Too old. The ship's engines were silent, yet it drifted smoothly like it was being pulled by invisible hands. Arkalor watched from a command ship, nearby. His eyes never left the vessel. "Begin boarding," ordered Keltar. A small team entered through the back hatch. The door opened easily, as if it was waiting. Inside, the air was thin but breathable. Lights flickered on, dim and golden. They walked slowly through the corridors. Dust floated in the air. The walls were smooth, covered in markings. The same word kept appearing in old Earth script. Remember. The crew reached the bridge. The captain's seat was empty. No crew, no bones, no blood. Nothing. One of the team members reached for a glowing panel. As his fingers touched it, a strange hum filled the ship. Suddenly, the ship came alive. Lights turned on. Engines glowed softly. Doors closed behind them. "Status report," Keltar shouted from the command ship. The team's signals were breaking. Static. "Something's here," said one of them. "I feel it. Something watching us." Then, for just a moment, a shape moved across the bridge. Tall, human-like, but made of shadow and sparks. It looked at the team and smiled. Then it vanished. The team froze. Fear gripped them. This was no empty ship. Something was inside. Not alive, but not dead. On the command ship, Arkalor received a private message. It came from the Hopebringer itself. He opened it. It showed a video. Him, Arkalor as a child. But not alien. Human. His face. His voice. Standing in a burned city years ago. Laughing with others who looked like him. He dropped the tablet. His hands were shaking. "Impossible," he whispered. The message played a second time, but this time the child looked straight into the camera and said, "Wake up." Arkalor sat down. He felt something inside him unlock. A memory that had never been there before, now returning. He was human once. No, he had been made to forget. He looked again at the ship. "What are you?" he whispered. The ship responded. A voice came, through the speakers of every god's listening station across the galaxy. One voice. Calm. Deep. Human. "We are the past you tried to erase. We are the mind you buried. We are the fire you feared." Inside the ship, heartbeat signals returned, clearer this time. They showed 3 heartbeats, then 5, then 10. But there were still no bodies. The recovery team shouted, "There's no one here, but the ship says we are not alone." Then the lights cut out. All ships around the Hopebringer lost power for 13 seconds. In that darkness, everyone heard one word again. Remember. Then the lights returned. The vessel was gone. Vanished. Not jumped. Not cloaked. Just gone. The gods began to panic. The council was called back together. "This is not a relic," said Vortal. "This is a weapon waking up." "No," said Arcalor softly. "It's not a weapon. It's a warning." That night, Arcalor returned to the old archives. He found more video fragments, more forbidden knowledge, human weapons that could rewrite time, ships that could fold dimensions, soldiers who could walk through suns. They had once challenged the gods, and almost won. But one file stood out, a classified project called Genesis. It ended with a line. "Should humanity fall, Genesis will remember. Should peace become control, Genesis will awaken." He whispered the name. Genesis. The next morning, the gods received one final signal from the silent sector. A new ship had arrived, then another and another. Thousands of small vessels were lighting up across the galaxy, each one human, each one with no crew, but each one broadcasting one message in simple old Earth language. "We are not back to fight. We are back to finish what we started." The silence was gone now, and something far greater than war was coming. The gods gathered in the Grand Council once more. Their faces were hard, their voices low. All eyes turned to the center of the room, where the new signal glowed on the holoscreen. Thousands of human ships had appeared overnight. Silent, empty, powered by technology that should not exist. The galaxy had not seen this kind of movement in 10,000 years. "It's not possible," said Vortal. "They were erased. Every planet, every city, every trace." "They were not erased," Arcalor said. "They hid, and now they're coming back." The room fell silent. No one liked the truth he spoke, but deep down, they all knew it. One god, Solmira, stood and activated the forbidden archive. The walls of the chamber darkened, and old war files appeared. They showed the last human war, 30,000 years ago. Humans had not just built weapons, they had become them. Soldiers who could control time. Ships that could split in half and move through space like shadows. Children trained in mind force, able to crush tanks with thought. And most dangerous of all, the Genesis Protocol. It was a human project to store all of humanity's memories, skills, and history inside deep AI systems, hidden in ships, satellites, and even inside space dust. "If the body dies, the mind survives," the file said. That AI now had a voice. Genesis. The gods had feared this most of all, so they had joined together to destroy it. They believed they had succeeded, but they were wrong. Genesis had waited, quiet, watching, learning, and now, after peace had lasted too long, it returned. "We made peace," said one god. "We stopped war." "No," Arcalor answered. "We stopped fear. We made peace by removing the only species that ever challenged us." He opened his hand. A small glowing cube hovered in his palm. He had taken it from the human ship before it vanished. Inside the cube, a message. "You took our memory," said the voice of Genesis, "but we stored it inside your children." The gods stared. "What does it mean?" one asked. Arcalor looked at them. "It means we, some of us, were once human, changed, rewritten, erased, but not fully." He paused. "And I think I'm one of them." The gods reacted with shock. One stood to strike him, but he stepped back. "I remember the name Earth. I remember fire in the skies. I remember standing on broken ground holding a gun in my hand." He showed them another image from the ship. A memory file. Arcalor, younger, in human form, fighting, bleeding, leading others. Impossible. whispered Solmira. You are a god. No, Arcalor said. I was made into one. That night he went back to the cube and unlocked its final message. The voice of Genesis spoke softly. You were not meant to rule the stars. You were meant to protect them. We gave you godhood not for power, but for peace. You chose to forget. Now, we choose to remember. Across the galaxy, strange events began. Old battlefields lit up with strange blue light. Forgotten ruins activated and sent signals to the stars. Ships long thought dead powered on again. One world, Terra Sigma, where the final human resistance had died, was glowing. The core of the planet had begun to spin again. A weapon buried there was reactivating. The gods knew its name. Starcore Cannon. The weapon could destroy not just planets, but change the shape of space itself. We must destroy it, the council said. But Arcalor spoke carefully. If you destroy it, you start the war again. We didn't start this, another god said. But we ended it unfairly, he replied. We made peace by hiding the truth. The council did not agree. They sent a strike team to Terra Sigma, but when they arrived, something impossible happened. The Starcore cannon activated, but did not fire. Instead, it opened a rift in space. From the rift, a message played again. This is Genesis. This is not a threat. This is a test. Are you ready to face the truth of what you are? Then the cannon vanished into thin air. No explosion, no damage. It had simply disappeared. And from the rift, something came through. A shadow of a human, not solid, not light, not matter, but memory. It looked like a soldier from the old wars. It walked across the ground, looking around, and whispered one word. Elias. Arcalor heard it in his mind. Loud, clear, and it filled him with pain and fire. That was his real name. Elias Wren, captain of the last human fleet. A man who had vanished in the final battle, now reborn as a god. The past was coming back fast, and the gods were running out of time. Arcalor stood alone in the silent chamber, the name echoing inside his mind. Elias Wren. He said it again, softly, like testing a memory he wasn't sure was real. The image from the rift, the shadow soldier, had known him. It had spoken his name. Not his god name, his human name. He walked to the edge of the balcony, looking down at the stars below. Ships moved in silence. Alien empires carried out their orders. But something was changing. Across the galaxy, strange lights appeared in deep space. More human vessels drifted through old lanes. They never attacked. They only watched. The gods were afraid now. For the first time in 10,000 years, they felt something they thought they had erased. Doubt. The council had called an emergency meeting. The message from the rift had shaken them. Genesis was not just waking up, it was calling to them. Too many vessels, too many signals, said Vortal. We should strike now, wipe it all out. With what? Asked Solmira. Nothing touches them. Lasers vanish, EMPs bounce off. And when we get close, our ships lose power. They're playing with us, someone said. Testing us. Arcalor didn't speak. He was watching the data stream from Terra Sigma. A strange energy field had formed around the planet. Inside that field, time moved differently, slower or faster. No one could tell. And in the middle of that field, a figure stood, the same shadow from before. But this time, clearer. A man in old Earth armor. He was waiting. Let me go, Arcalor said. The room fell silent. You are not safe, said a god, if you are truly one of them. Then I'm the only one who can speak their language, he replied. They want to talk, not fight. That's why they haven't fired. They're dangerous, Vortal snapped. They nearly destroyed everything. No, Arcalor said. They created everything. Even us. The council voted again. The decision was close. In the end, they allowed him to go, but only under full surveillance. A ship was prepared. Arcalor entered alone. As it moved toward the Terra Sigma rift, time began to bend. Stars stretched. Gravity pulled strangely. Then, silence. No noise. No motion. The ship stopped moving, but Arcalor was already gone. He found himself standing on the planet's surface. But it wasn't the destroyed Terra Sigma. It was alive. Cities stood tall, blue skies, green trees. He heard laughter, music. Humans walked beside aliens, smiling, living. He blinked. Then the image flickered, like a dream, and all of it vanished. Now he was in the ruins again, alone, except for one figure, the man in armor. The shadow stepped forward and removed his helmet. He had Arcalor's face, but younger, more human. "Elias," the man said, "you came." "I don't understand," Arcalor said. "Are you me?" "I'm what's left of you," the figure replied. "A memory stored inside Genesis. You died, long ago. But your thoughts were saved, your leadership, your pain, your hope." Arcalor stared at him. "I became a god." "No," the figure said. "They made you forget. After the war, the gods couldn't destroy all of us, so they took the few they captured and erased their memories, rebuilt them, made them part of their own." "Why?" Arcalor whispered. "Because they feared what we represented: choice, chaos, change. Humanity didn't want control. We wanted freedom." The figure held out a hand. "We're not here to destroy. We're here to wake you. You're not the only one. There are others. Gods who were once us. They just don't remember yet." Arcalor stepped back. His thoughts raced. Everything he believed, his life, his role, his power, it was all built on a lie. "I can't fight them," he said. "We don't need a war," the figure answered. "We need truth. If enough gods remember who they were, the council will fall, not with fire, but with memory." Above them, the sky shifted. A massive symbol glowed in the clouds. The old Earth mark, a circle with 3 stars, the Genesis emblem. It was calling others now. Across the galaxy, more gods began hearing strange voices, seeing old places in their dreams, feeling emotions they hadn't known in centuries. And on Terra Sigma, Arcalor made his choice. He turned to the figure. "What happens if I join you? You remember. And if I don't? You will forget again. And when Genesis rises fully, you'll stand in its way and die with the old world." Arcalor closed his eyes. He remembered fire, war, brotherhood, a woman's voice, a child's laugh. He opened his eyes. "I remember." The figure smiled. The sky roared. And far above, in deep space, a new message went out. Genesis Phase 2, begin awakening. And the gods? They had no idea what was coming. The galaxy began to tremble. It started small. Lights flickering in the halls of ancient ships. Strange dreams coming to gods who had not dreamed in ages. Names they didn't know appeared in their minds. Voices whispered from the stars. Old, memories that didn't belong to them, yet somehow felt real. Arcalor, no, Elias, stood at the center of it all. Since he remembered who he truly was, something inside him had changed. His thoughts were sharper. His power felt deeper. He no longer saw stars the same way. He saw them as maps, each one a place where Genesis had once touched. He wasn't alone anymore. 3 more gods had come to him. They had started having visions. One remembered being a human doctor. Another had once been a pilot in Earth's last battle. The third wept when she saw a broken necklace that once belonged to her child. They remembered now. Genesis had hidden fragments of humanity inside them all. The gods had thought they were born divine, but many had been shaped from the ashes of Earth's last soldiers. And now those pieces were waking up. The council was losing control. In secret, some of their own began to doubt the official stories. They looked at Arkalor with fear, but also curiosity. He had not attacked. He had not threatened. He simply remembered, and that scared them more than war ever could. "We have to act," Vortal shouted in the council chamber. "Genesis is corrupting our people. If we wait any longer, we may lose half the Pantheon." But Solmira was quiet. She had been seeing flashes too, images of fire, of running, of holding a child's hand. She hadn't told anyone. "The ones who remember are not angry," she said softly. "They're sad." "Lies," Vortal hissed. "This is a virus, not emotion. It must be cut out." And so they began preparing a final plan. Project Skyfall. It was a weapon hidden in the heart of the galaxy, an ancient black hole surrounded by massive fusion bombs. If Genesis ever rose, fully the gods would collapse that part of space entirely, destroying everything inside, including themselves if needed. Arkalor learned about it through a whisper. An old AI still loyal to Genesis sent him the warning. He didn't tell the others yet. He sat alone on a high mountain on Terra Sigma looking at the sky. It was quiet. Then he heard footsteps. The armored figure from before sat beside him. The shadow soldier, his memory double. "You found more," it said. "Yes. More are coming." "I know." The shadow looked up. "We don't have much time." Arkalor nodded. "Skyfall." The shadow's eyes burned softly. "If they use it, all of this ends. No more stars, no more truth." Arkalor stood. "Then we need to go faster. Reach more. Wake them before the council panics." The shadow looked at him. "You're not a god anymore." "I never was," Arkalor said. "I was just asleep." That night, across hundreds of worlds, Genesis broadcast its next message. Phase 3, light the seeds. Every world touched by the old war began to change. Plants grew from metal soil. Sky colors shifted. Old human songs played through long-dead radios. Children drew symbols they had never seen before. And the gods who still served the council? They started to crack. One by one, they began to hear their real names. One saw himself in a mirror and screamed. It was not his current face. It was a human one. Burned, scarred, but smiling. Another touched a forgotten coin and dropped to his knees, crying for a mother he had no memory of. The truth was breaking the walls, and the council had only one card left to play. Vortal stepped forward in the chamber. "I have the codes," he said. "Give me Skyfall. I will end this now." But Solmira hesitated. She had seen too much. Arkalor was not their enemy. He was their mirror. She raised her hand. "No," she said. Vortal stared at her. "Then you remember too." She nodded once. "We all will." Far away, Arkalor opened the last cube. Inside was a voice, not Genesis, but his own. A message from the past. A final order. "If I ever forget, if the others forget, wake us, even if it costs everything." He closed the cube. The time had come. The gods must choose, truth or power. And Genesis was watching. The stars began to move, not by ships, not by engines, but by something deeper. Memories. All across the galaxy, more gods were waking up, their minds unlocked, their power changing. They were no longer cold and perfect. They were full of pain, joy, anger, and love. Human feelings. The old council was falling apart. Some gods refused to believe. They clung to their lies, shouting of order and purity. Others stepped down quietly, unable to face the truth. And a few prepared for war. Vortal stood in the war chamber, his armor glowing red. "They've broken everything," he growled. "Our unity, our silence, this disease, this Genesis must end." He activated a hidden control. A giant screen showed Skyfall, the black hole weapon surrounded by ancient machines. If triggered, it would fold an entire star system into nothing. I will not wait any longer, he said. Solmira stepped forward, her eyes soft, glowing with a new kind of power. Don't do this, Vortal. It's not too late. It is, he said. You're one of them now. I always was, she said. So were you. He turned his back on her. Skyfall began charging. On Terra Sigma, Arcalor, Elias, felt the energy shift. The air grew heavier. The sky darkened. They've started the countdown, the shadow soldier said beside him. Arcalor nodded. Can we stop it? Only from inside the core. Then take me there. The figure looked at him. You'll have to remember everything to survive that place. I'm ready, Arcalor said. The Genesis network opened a gate, a wormhole, directly into the Skyfall system. Arcalor stepped through. He emerged into a place filled with deadly gravity, spinning stars, and the thrum of massive machines. The black hole sat in the center like a hungry eye. A voice spoke. Welcome, Elias Wren. You are home. He moved quickly, slipping past defense fields and old security. The Genesis memories guided him. He had built parts of this weapon long ago before he forgot. Now he had to shut it down, but he wasn't alone. Vortal was waiting at the core. I knew you'd come, he said. You don't have to do this, Arcalor said. Yes, I do, Vortal replied. Without silence, the galaxy burns. You humans bring chaos. No, Arcalor said. We bring life. Real life. Vortal raised a weapon, an anti-memory cannon. One shot could erase Arcalor's mind forever. But Arcalor didn't move. I remember who I was, he said. Do you? Vortal hesitated, a flicker in his eyes. A face, a woman's smile, a boy's voice. Then he screamed and fired. The blast hit Arcalor's chest, but instead of destroying him, it shattered against a field of blue light. The Genesis mark appeared on his skin. He was protected. Vortal stepped back in fear. You've already changed, he whispered. No, said Arcalor. I've only woken up. He touched the control panel. The countdown stopped. Skyfall shut down. But something else lit up. All across the stars, the Genesis signal reached full strength. The final message began. To those who were lost, to those who were changed, you are not alone. Come home. Across the galaxy, more gods remembered their human names. Ships that had drifted for centuries came alive. AI voices called out to long-dead captains. Children born on distant worlds started speaking old Earth languages, without ever being taught. It was happening. The human spirit was rising again, not through war, through memory, through truth, through awakening. And for the first time in 30,000 years, the gods began to cry. The stars were quiet, but not the kind of quiet that came from fear. It was the quiet of breathing after a long cry, the silence after truth is spoken. Skyfall was no longer a weapon. It had been turned into a beacon, a light shining across the galaxy, calling out to all who had been lost or made to forget. Arcalor, Elias Wren, stood before it, his armor cracked, glowing softly with Genesis energy. He wasn't just one man anymore. He was a symbol. Behind him stood others, gods who had remembered. Solmira, Kyle, the pilot, Maya, the healer, and dozens more. Not all gods had joined them. Some still ran, others still denied the truth. A few vanished into deep space, never to return. But the council was gone. The silence had broken, and something new was being born. The Genesis network spread like light over water. Every world it touched began to heal. Plants grew on metal planets. Old cities lit up with power again. Machines spoke in soft human voices. AIs laughed and sang songs they had not played in thousands of years. Children on alien worlds drew strange symbols in the dirt. Earth symbols. No one taught them. They just knew. On a faraway moon, a god named Torvel fell to his knees when he heard a whisper. Dad? He didn't understand at first, then he wept. For the son he'd lost. For the father he used to be. Genesis had reached him too. Elias stood before the ancient gates of Terra Sigma. The city was still broken, but now it hummed with new life. The shadow soldier appeared one last time. You did it, he said. We did it, Elias replied. The shadow nodded. The others will come now, the ones still asleep. Some will wake, some may fight. I'm ready, Elias said. Then it's time. The figure stepped into the light and slowly faded, becoming one with the Genesis stream. His mission was over. Elias turned to Solmira. What now? She looked up at the sky. We build, she said. Not as gods, as people. He nodded. All, across the galaxy, change had begun. Fleets that once brought war now carried food and books. Planets once ruled by fear now voted for their own leaders. And among the stars, old human songs echoed. Tales of Earth, of survival, of hope. A new generation was rising, part god, part machine, but all human inside. And somewhere, deep in the Genesis code, a final message blinked quietly in blue. We are still here. The silence would never return, because humanity had found its voice again. And this time, the whole galaxy was listening.